Hey guys, welcome back. Steve here with 6 Star Automotive. I wanted to do a video about preventive maintenance and quickly realized that one video is probably not going to cut it. So instead of going over all preventive maintenance, we're going to go over oils, specifically engine oils in this one. We're going to go over some of the misconceptions about what this number means, about what this stuff does, and about how long it should last in your engine. So on the internet, there's a lot of information about this stuff, some good, some not necessarily so good. So I'm going to give you what I've learned about motor oil, some of the more important aspects that you need to understand, some that you don't necessarily need to understand, but at least should know about the complexity, so that way you can make an informed decision. The number on the oil bottle, in this case 0W20. It could be 5W30, it could be 10W30, it could be 15W40. There's a lot of different numbers for these oils. A lot of people think that that means weight. It actually stands for winter. So it's, in this case, it's 0 winter 20. This, because there's a dash in between the two, this is a multi-viscosity oil. The industry introduced multi-viscosity oil in the 1950s. They found by using additives called viscosity modifiers, they could change the viscosity of oil at higher temperatures. This is important because as oil gets hotter, it gets thinner. So by using these modifiers, they could actually keep the oil thicker at higher temperatures, which adds to the protection that it can offer. An easier way to think about it would just be a cold and a hot number. The numbering system that they use for the viscosity is actually relative to water, with water being 0 and it going up from there. A good YouTube channel to check out for this type of information is Engineering Explained. This guy goes into the really nerdy details of stuff like this if you really want to know. So does this number mean that the oil actually gets thicker as it gets hotter? No, that's not the case. Basically, the viscosity modifying additives hinder the thinning of the oil at higher temperatures. So what does this mean for adding oils that aren't necessarily specified for your vehicle? The best thing to do is to just use what the manufacturer recommends. Trust me, there's a lot of reasons why. So I talked a little bit about additives in my last video. I want to go into a bit more depth about that in this one specifically. The additives in modern engine oils are the reason they perform as well as they do. The issue then is that these additives, being reactive in their nature, break down over time, use, and heat cycling. This reactive state is always being reduced to a state of neutrality by oxidation, separation, and molecular decomposition. Before I go into the additives specifically, you do not have to retain this information, but just know the complexity of what we're dealing with so that you can make an informed decision. Anti-wear additives. These additives protect engine components by forming a barrier on metal surfaces. There's actually not supposed to be any metal on metal contact inside your engine. It's all metal on oil. The oil barrier is what keeps your engine from breaking. Detergent additives. These additives clean engines by removing buildup and impurities. They also can neutralize acids that form in the oil over time. Corrosion inhibitors. These additives prevent chemical attack on metal surfaces. They repel water and neutralize the acidic byproduct of corrosion. Pour point depressants. These additives allow petroleum-based oils to pour at lower temperatures. They do this by altering the shape and size of crystals that form in the oil, allowing better flow at lower temperatures. Viscosity modifiers. This is the one we just talked about. Simply put, these additives prevent the oil from losing viscosity as the temperature rises. I'm running out of fingers. Friction modifiers. These additives are used to enhance the frictional properties of a fluid. Think Lucas. A very important one, dispersants. These additives hold particles in the solution of the oil until the oil is drained. Antioxidants. These additives are considered to be among the most important in the engine oil. Everybody knows about oxidation. Oxidation, bad. Antioxidants are very good. And the last one I'm going to talk about is anti-foaming agents. As the oil moves throughout the engine, it gets churned and sloshed around like crazy. This can cause it to foam up. The anti-foaming agents reduce the surface tension of the bubbles inside of the oil, which prevents them from being suspended inside of it, creating foam, and air does not lubricate. Very important. So let's revisit the cold weather topic one more time. Knowing everything that we've just learned, oil is harder to move when it's cold, which means it takes longer for the engine to pump it from the oil pan up to the top of the engine into the important bearings in the valve train. Not only does it have to do that while it's cold, imagine the oil suspending particles of carbon and dirt and moisture or ice crystals. Making the engine work this hard with dirty oil can increase the likelihood of damage. So all that being said, what we want to do is replace this oil before the additives inside break down, therefore revitalizing their effects and protecting your investment. So one final thing I get asked about a lot is maintenance intervals. Why do we recommend maintenance intervals more frequently than the manufacturer does? From my experience and from actually reading the manufacturer's recommendations, they specifically state mountainous driving, dirt roads, temperature extremes, which if you live here, you understand that. They actually reduce it considerably. Some even reduce it down to 3,000 miles. Our recommendations are generally going to be full synthetic oil, 5,000 mile or 5-month interval. You can go less. I personally do a 4,000 4-month interval, but cost obviously is a consideration. If you think about engine replacement being on average around $12,000 nowadays, it's a much better idea to just change that oil as often as you can afford to change it. So thanks for watching this video, thanks for spending time with me, and come on by to experience the 6-star difference. I can do this. Okay.